Hello everyone, this is Gary the Vegan Carburetor, and today in this video the three of us are going to be talking about the documentary movie called The Game-Changers, made by legendary filmmaker James Cameron. This movie recently became available on Netflix, which is probably why these two people have now made a video debunking it. That's this man's channel here called Biolayne. And his name, well, I don't have his name memorized because this guy's new to me, which will make my video more unbiased here because I don't know anything about him. So I've been calling him Muscly Science Guy, but I got his name here, Dr. Layne Norton. Yes, this guy's calling himself a doctor. Now, I don't know whether he is or what kind of doctor he might be, but all that doesn't matter. What matters is facts and rhetoric. I figure, though, that he's probably some doctor of physiology, exercise, similar to Dr. Graham, chiropractic doctor. And it all doesn't matter. So let's get started. I'm going to play some of this video and see what I think about it.
Hey guys, it's Holly Baxter here and I'm with Dr. Layne Norton, and today we're going to be talking about the recent film, The Game-Changers.
Now, Game-Changers is a film that was produced by James Cameron and has been promoted by Arnold Schwarzenegger, so it's getting a lot of attention. Now, the premise of the film is that James Wilkes, a UFC fighter, gets injured, and during his recovery, he ends up doing a lot of research about nutrition and finds this elite group of athletes, medical professionals, and scientists who are vegans. You and I would never argue that someone can be vegan and become an elite level athlete.
Yeah, and I think we would both agree that the inclusion of a diet that is rich in plant-based materials is a great thing, absolutely. Yeah. We want to make it clear that we don't have anything against veganism, no. Particularly for ethical reasons. That's not for us to judge.
Really? This guy has nothing against veganism? Well, I'm surprised by that because of the one thing I know about him is that he's had a 3-year-long feud with Vegan Gains. And I know he only picks on people who are anti-vegans, right? So I'm curious to see what he says in this video.
We're going to simply take the claims that were made about various scientific data and break those down based on what the data actually says. So the film starts off with James talking about his injury and talking about really digging into the research. Now, first of all, he said he spent 1,000 hours looking through research articles. He should have gone and done a PhD because that's probably as much or more time than you spend in a PhD going through research articles. So if he really did that, kudos.
That sounds like me. I've probably spent that amount of time in my life. And I don't know what website Norton was talking about. I imagine that's one of his websites where he teaches people the truth. Well, the reason why the way James Cameron studied, also the way I studied, is better than any other way, like going to college or going to one website, is because you're going to get a wider range of information. I just took everything in. Instead of getting from a limited source where you're going to get a limited viewpoint.
I'm a little bit skeptical. He claims that he came across this study that determined that gladiators were vegan.
Yeah, this thing, I'd like to skip over this because, it proves a point, and no one's denying this, I don't think. Maybe they weren't vegan, but they were mostly vegetarian. But they want to nitpick, and so I'd like to skip over it. I'd like to, but he did show one thing here that I'd like to comment on. And
if you look at ancient civilizations, that's how most people ate. They ate what they had access to. It wasn't necessarily, I want this to be the best performing thing I can possibly have.
Yeah, see, nitpicking and grasping at straws. Listen, see, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why they were eating that way.
And that brings me to another fact. Gladiators were performing to stay alive. It wasn't necessarily based on the best athletic performance in the world. In fact, I'm going to read a quote from one of the researchers from the actual research paper. This is from Carl Grossman, who...
Okay, he's going to quote somebody now. Mr. Science Guy, who's against anecdotes, by the way. Yeah, another one of those guys. He's not, is now going to quote some guy, a researcher. I don't know if he's a scientist or whatever, but I'm a researcher.
They did interview Carl, which I think I know why. So Grossman said the vegetarian diet had nothing to do with poverty or animal rights. Gladiators, it seems, were fat, consuming a lot of simple carbohydrates.
Stop. Hold on a second here. Yeah, I can now see why they didn't put him in the movie either. It's because he's an anti-vegan jackass. Now don't read ahead, people. Let's take this one small sentence here. Gladiators, comma, it seems, comma, were fat. This is a very unscientific way of speaking. It seems? Red flag, people. I hope I don't need to expand on this, and so we can just move on. I've been teaching people this kind of crap for 6 years. So just go back and watch my other videos.
Simple carbohydrates such as barley and legumes like beans was designed for survival in the arena. Packing in the carbs also packed on the pounds. Gladiators...
Stop. Carbs do not make you fat. What makes people fat is eating an really unhealthy diet, unhealthy lifestyle, smoking, drinking, not getting enough sleep, stress, not getting enough nutrients from fruits and vegetables, which people don't eat nearly enough, and also the popular dieting to be really thin that raises your fat storage thermostat.
Gladiators needed subcutaneous fat because a fat cushion protects you from cut wounds, shields nerves, and blood vessels in a fight. He also went on to say that having a layer of fat meant somebody could get wounded and bleed but not die, and they could last longer in the arena.
I see the trick they're trying to pull here. But do we have any evidence, never mind proof, that these gladiators were fat? And that's ridiculous to think that these fighters were fat. How about if you're in really good shape, you don't get hit? What good does it do to just get a bunch of mild wounds and to survive them? Now, sure, you probably could get fat if you really overate, but if you are eating so much food as to get fat from it, then you're going to be groggy, stiff, and tired. You're not going to be able to fight. I used to be an overeater like that, just eating until I felt so bad that I couldn't eat anymore. And yeah, I felt groggy, tired, and stiff. But I didn't get fat. So moving on with this Dr. Norton.
This isn't really what you would want for optimal performance in most sports these days. So kind of drawing the conclusion that since gladiators ate a mostly plant-based diet...
Wait, didn't this guy just say that you can become an elite athlete on a plant-based diet? Didn't you all just see my ribs? Go over to this guy's channel and tell him to come over here and debunk me. Because no one's done it yet in 6 years. And I'm waiting.
Oh, by the way, the evidence is they still ate some animal products, just not a lot. It's a complete misrepresentation of the data.
Maybe so, maybe so. But I don't care. Let's move on to the next issue. Let's get into it.
They talk about how we were told for a long time that protein is fuel for exercise. And they kind of create this idea that everyone thinks protein is fuel.
Right. We next interview a gentleman by the name of Scott Jurek, and he's an ultra-marathon runner.
Yeah, I've been saying that here on this channel. It is not fuel, and fuel is what you mostly need. Protein recovery is not what you mostly need. That's why there's no such thing as not getting enough protein. People aren't suffering from a lack of protein.
And Peggy said, I really like to use the utility knife when I'm trimming fat off meat. The chopping knife has a really good weight to it. It's really easy to use. The slicing knife is fantastic for any type of meat.
this commercial came up in his video. Of course, it's, commercials are targeted towards the viewer, but why am I getting this commercial?
The length of the blade is really good. It allows you to slice through any texture. I love to barbecue, and this set makes it a much more enjoyable experience.
Now, protein can be useful for recovery for endurance athletes. In fact,
absolutely,
there's a few studies out there that shows that probably at minimum, the protein requirements for like elite endurance athletes, and we're talking marathoners, ultramarathoners, are at minimum about 1.4 grams per kilo and up to 1.8 grams per kilo. There was a recent survey of vegans done, thousands of people, and they showed that the average vegan consumed about 83 grams of protein per day. And they actually say in the video, this is 50% more than they need.
Yeah. It's pretty clear that he is just trying to get people's attention, make as much money as he can. But he's doing that on the backs of abused animals and also people's health. Tufano knows that he is BSing people. You are one deluded, disturbing mofo. I'll be helping Bonnie back on her rightful diet in a live video. I will take down this buttoned-up fraud Frank. And his only reply to that was, LOL. I wrote, you are slandering the dead who cannot defend himself. And then he wrote back and actually said that he's not slandering Lou. He said, I'm slandering the vegan diet. Now, either he is admitting right here that he is lying to make the vegan diet look bad, or this guy's so dumb he doesn't know what the word slander means.
I'm the world expert.
He has repeatedly shown disdain for science and for evidence-based medicine.
What does this high glycemic mean? Fruit's good for you, right? You all think anyway. Carbs might actually promote cancer.
He has manifested an egregious lack of integrity.
I've got the #1 miracle in a bottle to burn your fat. You eat a low-carb diet to lose weight. We don't learn about this in medical school. When you actually have a personal problem, you become the world expert.
I swapped, whole wheat bread for white bread. I brought my levels down to a 5.3.
Just with diet?
Yeah.
Does your stomach ever feel so gassy it's sort of like this balloon? How is it possible we get a free ride on some foods?
That is grounds for dismissal.